Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our /JustNoMil. In today's episode, help. Should I be the bigger person for my son? This just happened and I can't believe what my child's father told me. I did it.
I'm Fried.
An update and encouragement for those who needs it. The time when I found out my MIL muted me. The time when my ex-MIL had a baby shower for herself. Ex-MIL teaches my son to bully his own father. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Help. Should I be the bigger person for my son? I, 35F, have already decided to divorce my husband, 34M, over how spineless he is and how he failed to protect me during my postpartum period where my IL stayed with us for months. However, we are still living together so that we can co-parent since the baby is still less than a year old, and we are committed to stay cordial. My MIL has been rude since day one of meeting her. She is narcissistic, rude, cannot stop talking about herself and how great she is, and every conversation is to show off how much money she has. Her all-time Hall of Fame story in my book is how she spins the story of how she hit a motorist, causing him to be handicapped for life, into a story of how she saved a poor kid with no money, paying for his medical bills and getting him treated with her amazing connection to top surgeons. I really tried to brush it off before, even when she was rude to my mom, telling myself that she meant well, that's just how she talks, and reminding myself that at least she doesn't live in the same city. But ever since the birth of my son, somehow my existence threatened hers as the only mother in her household. She's been extra abusive towards me. During my recovery from childbirth, she would forbid me from holding my son, grab my crying son away from my arms without asking, telling me how I don't know what I'm doing and I should go back to bed and focus on pumping. She also made me pump instead of breastfeed so she can feed the baby herself. She would pass my baby around to everyone, my husband, SIL, BIL, FIL. Yes, that was how many ILs who stayed in my house during my postpartum period, but refused to let me hold my son. My husband had to sneak the baby into my room so that I could hold him. I was a mess, crying in my room constantly and wishing they would leave. There are too many horror stories. Maybe one day I'll share. Fast forward to now, almost a year later and slowing growing my own spine, 100% thanks to finding this sub. Thank you guys so much. Since husband will probably never grow one. I have stopped politely replying in their family chat room, and as of yesterday, I finally left the chat room. Sounds silly, but felt huge to me. I have told husband if they ever visit again I will be going to a hotel, and he will be responsible to serve them 24/7 while taking care of our son. Even though it's obvious we are getting divorced due to his family dynamics, my MIL has never been confronted that she is the cause of this. Knowing her, she probably blames me for being an ungrateful wife and leaving her golden child and causing her not being able to see her grandchild this holiday season. I personally would like as little contact with her as possible, but I also don't want to damage the relationship for my son's sake. What if he grows up enjoying a relationship with his grandparents? MIL does love him and treats him like her own baby. I don't want to be the person who makes my son choose between anyone when he's older. My question: MIL's birthday is coming up, and since it's the most important day in her world, it would be catastrophic if I don't acknowledge the day and at least send her a happy birthday text. But just thinking about doing it makes me feel so sick at myself and how weak I am even after months of self-therapy. Should I break and see and send a text? It's just a simple text, just taking the high road? Should I not let it bother me this much? My anxiety has definitely came back and I haven't slept well debating this. None of my friends understand my struggle and thinks I should just play nice, which I agree to a degree. I'm hoping someone here will understand my pain. The fact that I'm making this a big deal also makes me so angry at myself for giving her the power to affect me. Edit. You guys are amazing. I will be strong and not text this woman who has caused me so much pain, trauma, and anxiety. You are right. The high road is overrated. I rather be on the road that empowers me. I am so happy and literally feel like a truck has been lifted up from my body. Thank you guys for taking the time to help me. Her treating your son as her own is a huge red flag. She wants a do-over baby, to be the third parent and push you out, and that's not okay. She's alienating your son from a parent, and that is abuse. They visit. Take your son to the hotel with you. She doesn't deserve access to your child at all. You also don't have to live with someone to co-parent, even a young infant. Edit to add. Screw her and her birthday. She's not a good person and doesn't deserve anything from the person she's abused. Not to mention, she is the indirect cause of the death of your marriage. This is not the type of person who will be a good influence on your child. Emile does love him and treats him like her own baby. And look how her own baby turned out. Do you want that for your child? So what if it's her birthday? Everyone has one. She's not your friend or family. She kept you away from your child when he needed you most. She has a hand in destroying your marriage. If she was anyone else, this wouldn't be a question. Continue with your NC with a clear conscience.
No.
She is no longer your mill, and her feelings are not your responsibility. Also, your son is getting old enough to notice things. He'll notice that mommy allows someone to treat her like shit and believe he should have the same. You don't want that. Also, don't leave your home. If she wants to visit, SHE can get a hotel. Visits should be arranged by your ex off-site. People who abide you cannot enter your home. This just happened and I can't believe what my child's father told me. So I'm already in process to divorce my so because of his lack of spine towards Emile. We are cohabitating and co-parenting. But this just happened and I'm so pissed. Rant because it just happened and all I want to do right now is break something. So Emile called today and said So and I should bring my son, 12 months old, to her country, a 14 hours flight, for Christmas. According to So, or SDBX, he told her no, and he just wants to spend possibly the last peaceful Christmas with just the three of us before the separation. She said she knows me and knows if he pushes me to bring son back to see grandparents, I would eventually oblige, and that she can talk some sense into me once I'm there, and make me see that divorce is not the right choice. Because mother knows best, and she always means well. I have been in NC with her since I asked for the divorce in September. I am shocked that throughout these months of communication between So and her, she somehow has the conclusion and audacity to speak as if she is not part of the reason for my divorce and can educate me regarding my marriage. I had a huge fight with So because of this. After months of not talking to him about anything other than the baby, he said he can get out of Thanksgiving but probably have to take my son away for Christmas to see Emile, with or without me. I tired telling him she's trying to trick him into submission and portray that she's all motherly love and angelic. But he just won't agree that she is trying to sabotage our life by gaining control of vacation and important dates. What about my mom who is 30 minutes away and is also a grandparent? Why can't my son spend Christmas with her since the last 3 years of my life has been all about Emile and her needs? I told him it's not right that he knows deep down her love for him is based on his obedience. At the end of our fight, he said, well, she's the only one offering love these days, so I'm gonna take it. Great. You win. Your son is so deeply brainwashed that he thinks you who gave him conditional love is more loving than me, who actually gave him a son without condition. I am so angry at my life and my choices. Why is she still on this earth and still in my life after NC? I hate that my child is connected to this family. Edit. Updated flare after reading the supportive comments/warnings and realized I may need advice if this turns ugly. Thank you guys so much. You are the support and protection that I've never gotten from myself. So MIL called today and said so and I should bring my son, 12 months old, to her country. Does LO have a passport? If yes, who has it? Can SDBX get LO a passport without both parents present, when you're both alive and have your parental rights? Can you get it? If so tries to take LO abroad, does he have to prove both parents have agreed to it? If ML pushes, will so stay abroad with LO longer than agreed upon? I don't know about your end of the world, but I know in a lot of places the laws regarding taking a kid abroad are stricter than taking a kid to the other end of the country. Because mother knows best. You can agree with MIL all the way here, OP. Lay it on thick to SDBX. Because you are the mother here. Why is your XSO allowed to take your son 14 hours away from you? Are you okay with that part of it? I am not comfortable at all, but he and his mother made it seem like I would be depriving them of their grandchild or my son's right to his grandparents. I don't know. I am too upset at this moment to think about what's right. I'm a bit concerned about taking a child out of the country during a divorce. I used to work at the State Department and international custody fights are a huge problem. Again, you seem to be handling it between you till she jumped in. This is a horrible idea. Not to plant irrational fears, but Mill may not let the baby come back. What recourse will you have if your so decides to stay with your child in this country that is a 14-hour flight away? No advice here, but I will say I'm extremely concerned about MIL trying to keep the baby in her country if you let him go there. I did it.
I'm freed.
An update and encouragement for those who needs it. A year ago around this time, I desperately posted to ask for help regarding my emotionally abusive JNMIL. I received so much support and basically a good kick towards the right direction. I've since then divorced my SO and divorced my JNMIL. I remember the last time I posted here, I was in such an emotional turmoil and so blinded by the family rules that my SO's whole family seems to abide by. I was afraid, I had a newborn. I was constantly doubting my own ability to fight for myself and my child against such an abusive force that everyone in the family is supposed to be afraid of. So here I am, 1 year later, with my sweet toddler, freed from the abuse and protected by terms that I've written in my custody agreement. I have lots of ridiculous stories to share, maybe one day, but what I want to share first are the resources that I've gotten from my very expensive divorce lawyer. So you ladies/gents don't have to pay for that. I want to help. It's the holiday season. Finding this community has helped me through some of my darkest times. I want to pay it forward. If you are currently struggling like I was a year ago, not having the slightest idea of how to start the divorce process, I will forward you all my emails and forms that I received from my lawyer. I will send you my sample custody plan that I paid for. I will send you hugs. I will send you encouraging stories. Just to be clear, I had a very simple and uncontested divorce. I may not be able to help everyone, but if you and your SO are on good terms, you just want to opt out of his JN family, or you want a DIY divorce, then let me know if you want any info just to prep yourself better. I am in no way encouraging divorce as the solution, but if you are like me who fell out of love because your SO is incapable of speaking up to his mother yet very capable of sacrificing you, then divorce is a glorious option. Edit. Wow guys. You all are making me ugly cry from your love and support. I didn't expect so many people to reach out, but I'm so happy I made this post. I think what I'll do is create some files this weekend and put all the resources I have in a cloud drive so everyone can have easy access to them. I didn't want to post my actual divorce agreement here because I didn't want any trouble with my lawyer or any paid services that I used. As one user helpfully pointed out, laws do differ from state to state. I can't believe I was so excited to share and forgot the evil MIL plague is international and not just limited to my state in the US. But what I've found is that most states have very similar online resources once you figure out what everything means and how to start. About last Christmas, long story short, I unintentionally started war and ended up with JustNoMil flying 14 hours over to us in Jan to ambush me and baby. I took off to hotel. It took weeks of me living in hotel, but she realized I meant business, eventually asked to chat. I showed up, and I divorced her at the end of that chat. What do they say when you tell a man you're divorcing him because of his nightmare mother and his willingness to throw you to the wolves? Are they surprised? Do they try to argue with you and talk you out of it? Or are they just resigned like, yeah, okay, that's fair? I read your old posts, and what they put you through postpartum was appalling and unforgivable. It was either divorce or murder. Also, whatever ended up happening at Christmas last year. While I hate divorce and I'm a male, I've been in the situation. I was at a point where I would actually question my own sanity and have stated down a barrel a couple of times. So glad and you got out of that toxic situation. I've been reading your posts. This is an awesome thing you're doing. Isn't it crazy how a situation can get so far off from common logic and make you question your own sanity? I was so lost and my life was about pleasing everyone but myself. Sounds like you found your way out. I'm so happy for you. You're an absolute babe. Thank you for being so thoughtful and generous. I hope you and your LO have a wonderful Christmas. We need more people like you in the world XX. The time when I found out my MIL muted me. I'm having a nice drink by myself, and I just wanted to share my story. I filed for divorce from my enabling ex and my crazy in-laws 2 years ago. Most of the time I feel completely resolved and back to normal, but sometimes one tiny trigger gets me right back to past trauma. My MIL was at her craziest during my postpartum period, aka her first grandchild being born. She wouldn't let me hold my baby, would sneak my baby out of his crib at night and co-sleep with him. Yes, she stayed with us to help during that period. I cried every day because I couldn't hold my child. It was a cold winter and my son was suffering from dry, bloody nose and unable to nurse. The pediatrician recommended saline spray. My son cried every time we did it, of course, but it was the only way to clear his nose so he could breathe and nurse. My MIL would not have that, told me I was abusing my son, and that him crying that much would lead to his intestines dropping and death. I was a first-time mom and had no idea what that sentence even meant. She is a bully and always gets her ways. The whole in-law family treated her words as the law. She was not happy when she found out I still did the saline spray before feeding, plus a bunch of other stuff I was doing that didn't please her, like not cooking her breakfast, not smiling enough, etc. Cue a 2-hour family meeting. I remember I was still wearing my gigantic postpartum diaper and bleeding excessively as she lectured me on how we should never disrespect the elders and whatever the elders say, we need to shut up and do as told. I cried in that meeting. She thought I cried because I knew I was wrong. No, I cried because my then husband sat behind me and never once spoke back or had my back. Not when she said I should be so grateful I married into their family. I cried because I knew at that time my marriage was over. But I didn't say anything, so she thought I was put back to my place. She carried on with how she treated me like her own daughter and how ungrateful I was to not cherish the fact that I had her as a MIL. I just cried and held her hand, despite wanting to vomit, and nodded along, knowing I need to start putting together a plan to leave. Few days later, she needed some help on her phone. I went into the app that we all use to chat as she looked and tried to learn, and saw that my name was muted along with realtors and some insurance agents. We both froze and time stood still for a good 5 seconds. I had never seen her shy of words. I finally said, "Oh, there I am," and then continued as if nothing happened. I will always be grateful for that very moment, when I proved that I was not crazy. I knew she despises me and didn't treat me like her daughter. I knew it, but I had no proof, and my then husband kept telling me she just meant well. Just suck it up for the time being, don't rock the boat. Well, I shook her boat. I've since left, and in my custody agreement, I've specifically stated that my son is never to be left alone with her. One day I will have time to deal with my PTSD, as my therapist has called it. But for now, venting to people who gets it is more than enough. This is a reminder to stay strong. Never doubt yourself when you think something is wrong or ridiculous. Curious as to how can you be certain that LO is never alone with MIL? Even with the custody agreement, MIL seems like the kind of person that would bully her son to get as much time with LO as she likes. You are definitely right to wonder. I added the clause so they think I have legal standing if I ever caught them. I am only calling her bluff, knowing she only abuses the weak and is scared of anyone with actual power. She can definitely do anything she dares to, but I will always have the right to take my ex to court for full custody based on our legal agreement. My guess is that X will let her see your son, in spite of what you've said. You deserved so much better than how she treated you. I can totally understand. I'm Asian, and in my culture we do family meetings and have a whole elder thing too. I've seen my sisters go through similar things before. I can only imagine what that was like. I'm so sorry you went through that, but I'm also so glad you found the strength to leave. I hope things are so much better now. The time when my ex-MIL had a baby shower for herself. She had a party celebrating her having a grandchild. My child. Her friends got a custom-made cake for her that had a figurine of her holding my baby. Just her and a baby, because apparently the mother who gave birth to the baby is not important. She had the balls to send photos of this party to a chat room with me in it. And no, I was not invited, but around 30 of her friends were. Why are there so many MILs who goes batshit crazy after their DLs gives birth? Is it the fear of being replaced by a younger version? And to think everyone in that family was trying to tell me everything was okay and normal, that she had only the best intentions. I'll be forever grateful to this sub for showing me that I'm not the crazy one. Here's one for the books. Oh my god, my stepmom did something similar. No cake with figurines, but she did throw a baby shower in my honor. I was told about it 2 days after invites were sent out. She lives 7 hours away, so I told my dad I was not willing to make that trip 8 months pregnant. We Skyped for about 5 minutes once the party was over. She sent me pictures later showing her opening all the gifts. One of the gifts was a book and they wrote, "Stepmom's baby boy, not grandbaby." I was so creeped out. She sent me a list of names and addresses to send thank yous to, but I never did it. I don't know the people, didn't want the party, told them I didn't want it. I feel like she should have done that. So freaking weird. Babies make people nuts. The book was addressed to her like that, and she expected you to write thank you notes? I'm so proud of you for divorcing those idiots. I bet she never expected that in a million years. The bit that really stood out to me is how she hit a motorist and turned that into a good thing for him. Please tell me the custody agreement keeps her from baby permanently. Xmil teaches my son to bully his own father. I divorced my ex because his lack of spine towards his mother. X and I remain cordial to co-parent our 4-year-old son. Recently, during drop-off, I've noticed my son using really mean language towards X, like telling X to stop talking or go away, when X is simply trying to engage with him. I tried correcting my son when I see this, but I'm confused as to where he even learned to act like that because he's never done that in front of me. Turns out, Xmil, who bullied me during my entire relationship with X, taught my son that when X took son to visit her a few weeks ago, she lives really far away, so son sees her maybe once a year after the divorce. X said Xmil would bribe son with sweets and toys. Whenever X tries to interject and parent, she would tell my son to tell dad to go away, tell dad to stop talking. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised at her behavior, because this is precisely why I got divorced when my son was still an infant. I didn't want to risk raising my child in an environment where he may be brainwashed, and I wouldn't be allowed to speak up because the father of my child would be afraid of rocking the boat. But I must say, I've never felt better about my decision to divorce that family. I can't believe she would do that to her own son. What kind of woman would use her grandchild to bully her own son? To create parental alienation between your own child and grandchild, just so you be the grandchild's favorite. It is just so disgusting the BS she can pull. And I'm not sure if I'm more disgusted by my ex just letting his mom do that for 2 weeks without talking back or putting his foot down at all. Throughout our whole marriage to divorce, he's learned to change absolutely nothing. Obviously, I'd be correcting my son's behavior now that he's back in my house. I guess I just feel like I have to share this somewhere, or tell someone that going and see or even LC is worth it. It's called parental alienation, and if you did it, it could cost you custody of your child. So, why does this woman have access to your young, impressionable son? This is child abuse on top of brainwashing, and it needs to stop. It seems what you wish to avoid with your DS has landed in your lap despite your efforts. This is the first time I've seen my son actively reenacting something she's taught him. I think it's a good warning that I need to be stricter in regards to him visiting JustNoMil while in my ex's care. I do have clauses in my custody agreement that prevent son from ever being left alone with her, which I thought was enough. But I definitely underestimated her selfishness. I'm going to say no to longer visits in the future, as I have 50/50th legal right, but I can't control my ex if he allows his mother to see our son. I'm genuinely wondering now if that kind of poison is grounds for getting some sort of protection order to keep her away from him. I mean, if she's doing that now when he's so small, what's she going to have him do when he's older? How long before she's getting him to turn on you or others? It's the one worry that's constantly in the back of my mind. I can only hope I would have done my job as a mother, and that my son will learn to smell the BS and know she's not a good person. The court system is fair, but that means it's fair to my ex as well, so there's only so much I can do to shield my son. Can you modify the custody agreement to ensure JustNoMil never has access not supervised by a licensed therapist? Child can't be taken out of the state without both parents permitting, etc.? That behavior can as easily be taught to aim at you or anyone, and UXDH isn't going to limit her access. What a mess. Wishing you the best. I would also start documenting what is happening. The constant whiplash of parenting and standards cannot be good for your child. Children are more susceptible to toxicity. Start documenting go see your lawyer. For guidance. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.